thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I presume that either you have an interest in art or you are doing some art yourself. Anyway, you're very welcome. I think the artists here, we are not professional, but we love what we do and we're trying to share a little bit with you today. So we're glad that you're here and hope that this will be a meaningful, interesting talk for you. For myself, I love the fact that I can do art, and it was something I only got into maybe about 10 years ago. A bit of history is that Joanna used to run a space in St. Mary of the Angels, and then she had these retreats, art retreats or workshops. So I saw an ad in the Catholic news, and I felt like attending. I guess it was God's calling. So I just went for that, and then it was actually the first part. So I think at that retreat, what was interesting is that I saw people around me who would actually draw, and I couldn't, you see. So I felt very frustrated. I was like, I can't express myself. But somehow I was very, pardon the pun, drawn towards this thing. So I was searching for a way to learn the skill, and I started in fact by taking classes privately. Incidentally, my first teacher is also one of our speakers. Later you will see her, Kowling. So she was the first one who instructed me in art. So actually there are many baby steps that you take this journey. And then after that, I mean, people said, oh, so why did you go and take classes formally? So being a working adult, you can look for night classes. So I think now there are some of my friends here who know. We signed up for a thing called night classes at the NAFA, which is actually just around the corner. And I did like a 1 year basic Western art. So that's how I picked up more formal skills, how to draw, composition, all the basic things. But actually, you don't know what you're doing until you keep going and you practice. It comes along the way. So I think fast forward to actually the year, was it 2015 or 2016? Yeah. The first year that the Angelico Art Award was launched. Honestly, who am I, right? I'm like, what kind of skill or talent? So when I saw that, oh, the art contest, like, yeah, sure. But for some strange reason, right, I don't know when Joanna came out to me and said, hey, why did you go and apply? Why didn't you go and like, join this thing? And I was like, really? I don't think this kind of thing. And there were actually a few people who asked me to apply. So I thought this is a bit strange, but okay, in that case, just submit. So I prepared some artworks, and honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing, but there's a theme. So for Angelico Art Award, if any of you are interested, they always give you a theme. So the theme that year was, who do you say I am? I think it's a very cheap theme, honestly. And for me, actually, I think, you know, being an educated person, I think in very structured, literal terms. So I think the few pieces I did, one was a picture of the baby Jesus with the crucifix. And there were a few mediums I was playing with. But in the end, this was the piece that I decided to submit. And you cannot imagine how surprised I was when it was selected. So it was something that it was really beyond, I never had imagined it. So it was a very pleasant surprise. And okay, so win one award, now oh, I was going to apply for more awards. Okay, so yeah, this may set you on that kind of thinking. But actually, the truth is that I don't know. I think honestly, today I'm just going to share with you since then what has my journey been and what I'm doing today. So you can be my witnesses on my learning journey too. In any case, talk a bit about the artwork. I don't know if you can see the face of Christ. So that was the idea, but it's kind of, you have to still yourself and look at the picture before the face comes to you. So I think it's not an immediate, like you look at this and you can see the face straight away. You do need to kind of still yourself, stand there, take your time, and then slowly the face of Jesus will appear to you. There's also some things in here that will slowly, you will see is quite constant in my practice. The use of color. And as you see, the topic that I chose today is God, abstraction, and me, because curiously, I do find that abstraction appeals to me. So maybe we can go on to the next slide. Thank you. So after that, I think the initial journey is like, what is abstraction, right? And at that time, I think a lot of it was like, oh, what's the process? So I was just like trying to understand different media and playing around with creating different patterns. You know, not really knowing what I was doing. So this is a work, for example, that makes use of liquid detergent. You know what you use to wash your plates, right? And acrylic paint. So you basically create the initial marks first. Oh, sorry, you paint one layer first, then you create the marks with the detergent. Then you paint again, and then you wash. So, of course, what is washed off will form other marks. And there are many other experiments that I did. So that was initially, you know. Maybe we go on to the next slide now. Okay, then there is this question that artists always ask me, what makes you an artist? No? So you have all these very traditional ideas of the old masters, and you see all the, is it like Mona Lisa, you draw something so perfect. So I think I went through that phase also, learning how to draw and try to draw like very accurately, you know. Took a lot of like portrait drawing classes, try to capture the likeness. I spent a lot of time on this kind of figurative work. This is, I think, one of the workshops where you can see that I'm sort of this is the boundary between like the figuration and the abstraction. Anyway, this is supposed to be inspired by Lady Diana. I don't know why I like pretty faces, so okay. Maybe the next slide. Thanks. Okay, then I move almost like to the other extreme to a very minimalist approach. So these are actually, for me, abstract portraits. Each one of them is a portrait of a person. I think the red and the white one is Marilyn Monroe. The blue and yellow is Diana, and the black and white is actually Jackie Onassis. Yeah, then after that I did this, and I started to like get more interaction with other artists, and they told me, oh, do you know there's this very famous artist called Barnett Newman, and he always does strip and that. Okay, so that's where you start to actually have to pick up the education and get to know other artists. And then you realize, oh yeah, no, maybe you're not the only one who thought about this. And there are other artists in the world who have maybe similar thoughts and ideas. So that's actually also very interesting. Although you may be practicing as an artist wherever you are in any part of the world, to actually share, see the work of other artists. Can we have the next one? Okay, so this one was done last year, 2020. So I'm sure all of you know what happened in 2020. We are still in it. Yeah, COVID happened, and then I guess we couldn't go anywhere, right? So this was actually a direct result of the fact that we couldn't go anywhere, and all I could do was just walk outside my house and maybe walk or jog. So although I lived in the same house for all my life, it was the first time I realized that, oh, the sky is very big. There's a lot of sky. And I guess that it was also, in a way, I mean, I'm not a very religious person, I have to be honest. Spiritual awakening, and I realized that the presence of God is actually all around me, and it's always been here, but I never noticed. So that was a thing that struck me during that time, and I wanted to capture that in the art. Actually, I made this for submission. So sometimes the thing about art awards is good because it prompts you to go and do some work. So whether or not you win, never mind. I mean, just go and do some work. Anyway, the technique was very different, and I was trying to. I think this is the start of me trying to be aware of letting go in the artist control process, and sort of collaborating with God. Because in a sense, what happens is that I put the medium right paint, but I let gravity sort of pull it down. So there is a bit of nature I cannot control. There's an element of I cannot control in the making process. So kind of slowly, I'm trying to, as an artist, loosen up in this direction. Okay, the next one. So this was made as a twin set together with that one. Slightly different. For this one, you can see that there are vertical and horizontal lines. So for this, just to share with you a bit of the technique behind it, I mean, I'm playing with tape, I'm blocking the paint, but I'm also letting it drip. So there is this, you let the paint do what it's supposed to do. You let the medium just be itself, but you also intervene to kind of like direct it. So there's still that thing going on. You know, it's a little bit of you, it's a little bit you cannot control. You know? Okay, so this was actually done earlier this year. I've lost track of time quite honestly during COVID. So when I was doing out the slides, I thought this was done a long time ago. And then I checked and I was like, oh no, it's actually, we're still in 2021. It's done earlier this year. I didn't really set out with any game plan, to be honest. I just had these wooden panels, the squares, and I guess I wanted to work with color as usual. And I was just thinking of like, oh, you know, the liturgical colors, maybe they would make a good idea. So I did a bit of research, and then I decided on the 4 colors that you see here. So purple is for penance, red is for love, blood price, green is for hope, and white is for purity. And I think what you see is basically there are shades of the same color within each of the quadrants. The other thing is that I would say I didn't plan it, but somehow as I was shifting or moving the pieces around, it just felt right. So in the end, it's sort of like asymmetrical each piece, but when you put them together, you can see that there's very clearly a form of a cross, and the cross is actually left on the bare wood. So I like that. For some reason, this thing seemed to work, and it was very meaningful in a symbolic way. So I called this piece Easter. Okay, so more recently, this is what I'm doing now. I think that piece that I just shared about the one before this was the start of me kind of choosing the medium to be wood. And I'm actually currently now trying to learn more about how to play with this medium and how to make the art of it. So these are just some early experiments. Here you can see like the odd shapes and all that. I think I'm doing I'm not really having a lot of okay, this whole process, right, is a little bit of, there's deliberate stuff that you do, but you also have to be very open-minded because you want to learn along the way, right? So you have to be very open to see what happens. So I'm acquiring some skills on the side, which I hope or think might be useful, but I don't know how I'm going to use. So for example, now I'm working on wood, therefore I actually attended a carpentry course earlier this year to learn how to cut wood and to shape it and so on and so forth. I also went for a course learning how to make wooden jewelry. Then I just recently did a course on how to make fashion jewelry. So I don't know how the skills will come in, but I have an interest in every one of them. And I feel that the more that I know, the more tools I have to work with in order to make the art come to the front. So this, I'm showing you now sort of like in evolution in terms of that was the first time, then it moved on to something like that. how do I get this pattern? Again, I just want to share, I didn't think of the picture before I did the picture. I looked at the wood, and I looked at the wood grain, and I just decided which was the most interesting pattern I could see in the wood, and sort of work off that. So either the shape came from it, or I found something about, I just found a form or shape inside the wood naturally, and then I used that. Okay, so I mean, like, I've got to keep pushing myself. Don't want to get stuck on doing something, oh, it looks pretty, and then like, oh, I keep doing that, right? So that's not the point. So this is pushing further, like, so it's a bit flat, right, you see? So I'm also trying to see, like, what about the depth, that space. So I'm looking at different pieces, and I'm also thinking about positive, negative spaces. Okay, and then there are other things that I feel are quite interesting to me. One is balance in color, or whether it's shape, and the grid. Somehow I find the grid is actually very meaningful, and I've been thinking a lot about why is the grid interesting to me. I feel that everything in life is actually held together by some structure. So even your daily life is held together by a schedule. You will have breakfast, lunch, dinner. You know, Sunday is day for God. You don't know which day you go to market. So actually there is a structure, and so in terms of art, right, I feel that that could be a reason why I feel a grid is actually quite appealing to me. Okay, and then this is a piece which just came out of the so-called scraps, the cutouts that were lying around. And why did I pick this to show you, even though it looks quite raw? The reason is simply because it really is exactly that. It's quite raw, and I think that is my learning point. I need to learn how to let go a bit more. There is a tendency in me to want to go and do a piece of work that looks very finished. You know, I mean, in the early days, right, I think I would do like a canvas, paint, after that I go to the shop and frame it out. And then I was like, oh, it's done, you know, I have a painting. But now, when I look back, I feel so silly when I think about it. Because you can frame anything up. Doesn't mean that that makes it the painting, right? I mean, the whole point is that the art? And what is a painting, you know? So I realized that maybe it's also like I don't know, maybe when I grew up, I just saw everything was all so nicely packaged. You go to the shop, it's all wrapped up for you. So maybe we think that it's like that. But actually, we can actually accept a bit more imperfection, a bit more like natural stuff. So I'm actually trying to learn how to loosen up. So I thought this is a good piece to share. Okay, I think this is the final slide. So this piece came out. Why did I want to share? Because I think my point is, as much as I talk about, oh, I want to be very abstract, right? You see, even the latest piece still looks very figurative. So when I look at this, right, I can't help but think of the brinjal, which I eat so often. And I don't know, it looks like an egg or whatever, but the green obviously is like nature, leafy. So actually, what I'm trying to say is you can only be yourself, but you can't help who you are. And if the figure is there, the figure is there. Whatever is in you is in you. You know what I mean? I think the whole process of becoming an artist is very nice because it really helps me to learn more about myself as a person. And I think ultimately, right, that's very nice because it's also a journey towards discovering God. So, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. It was very interesting to me. I haven't caught up with Geraldine and I haven't heard her story. So, yeah, thanks. And as you can see, there's a lot of thought that went into art. So, it's a lot of effort. Okay, who's the second speaker?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. And also thank you, Geraldine, for your sharing. It's very honest, and it also leads into my talk, because for me, I would never be able to do the kind of works that you do. Yeah, maybe Geraldine kept saying she needs to learn to loosen up. Right? I think I'm even more uptight, so I would definitely not do those kind of free abstractions, which really are very liberating to look at. So for me, maybe a bit of background. I was an engineer before, so that's why the feeling of letting go is a bit harder for me. And then after 5 years working at my job, I decided to quit, and with my wife's support, she signed me up for art school at NAFA. So I did a course at NAFA, graduated, and then went on to do masters, and then so on and so forth. So it put me in contact with a lot of other artists, a lot of other practitioners, sculptors, painters, and so on. And so I found the artist life more exciting, right, than being an engineer. But the artist life also comes with a lot of temptations, and the temptation to lose your religion is very strong. And in fact, that was what happened to me. I kind of lost my faith along the way. And it's really grace of God that through my godson, right, I journeyed with him through RCIA. In a way, he brought me back to the church. So I worked on this project with my godson in 2018, right, or 18 or 19. So this was the second time Angelico Art Awards was, I think they had bigger publicity. But I would also walk past the heart space at St. Mary of the Angels, and always wonder what was going on there, but never dared to step in because there's a lot of abstraction, and abstraction really scares me. So, but when I saw the poster, and the first prize was $10,000, I said, wow, let's go for it, right? So I told my godson, hey, we could do with some money, right? We were just maybe teaching part-time and trying to get by. Sometimes my wife is more generous, so she gives me some pocket money. But the prize money was very attractive, so I went in because of the money, actually. Yeah. So next slide, please. Thanks. So when I saw the theme was about the future of the church. Right? So I looked at current issues. What are some of the current issues, and how can we improve on them? Next slide, please. And I think this was taken Tuesday, 26th of June, 2018. One day, driving home from the studio, one evening, I saw this sunset, and it kind of also reminded me of the colors of stained glass window. And then if you look at the sunset, the source of light is the sun, right, which is actually setting already. And that structure, the V structure, reminded me of if you turn it upside down, it's like an arch. It's like a Gothic arch. And then the source of light, which is at the bottom, if you turn it upside down, the source of light comes from the top. So that gave me the structure for my painting. It's like this. And I had a lot of help. All the saints kind of spoke to me during that time. Mother Teresa said, I must be in that painting. Saint Ignatius said, don't put me in the painting, I'm not going to put in a good word for you. So yeah, all these saints, somehow they came together in the painting itself. And So I decided to make a stained glass window that showed all the saints, but also showed the current issues that we're facing, like the high abortion rate. So the center of the painting, next slide please. This was some of the work in progress. So you can see that in the center of the painting is that fetus, right? And yeah, that was the structure. So what I wanted to show was we are actually inside a church, right? And because it's the future church, right? Somehow we had discovered ways of building 100-story churches. The crucifix and the altar is at the bottom, you can see. So it's probably 100 stories high, and the glass is some kind of ultra thin, ultra strong glass. So it's larger than life. No one has experienced this before. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah, these are the sketches that we worked on over time. So some of the issues that we're facing today: abortion, lonely youth who are troubled, the homeless or those who are neglected. I work part-time also in the polytechnic, and it's also quite disturbing to hear that every year there's a certain number of suicides that happen, right? And yeah, it's just troubling. So I decided to just put them also in the stained glass together with the saints and Mother Mary and Jesus, further up, and the source of light is right at the top of the painting. Oh yeah, just keep playing it. There's a bit of so this is the final composition. Okay, thank you for your time.
You can see the church, it's so small. Thank you so much, Joshua. That's really interesting.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, do you have any questions?
Oh yeah, maybe another little story. Just now Geraldine was mentioning about framing. You can frame anything and then it's complete, right? Incidentally, when I was putting this, when I was getting this frame, I met Kowling at the same frame shop. And that's the first time we met, right? So, and she saw the painting and she said, "Hey, you're submitting this for Angelico, right?" I said, "How do you know?" Yeah. Yeah, we went to the same frame shop at the same time. I think all these things cannot just be coincidence, right? There's 24 hours in a day, so many days in a week. How did we appear in the same shop at the same time?
So many framers in Singapore.
So many framers. But I went to the framer that they call itself Carmelites. They were Carmelites. But they are not Catholic. They took over the frame shop from some other company and just kept the name. There's a lot of Buddhist art there. So very Catholic. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, you can see the saints, on the faces of the saints. Yes, next, right? Okay, Kowling. Kowling is, wow, I have so much history with Kowling from Heart Space days, and it's wonderful to have her. I think she was one of the few who participated in all 3 Angelico Art Awards, and I'm very, very so glad that she did. So over to you, Kowling.
Hi, Kowling here. I'm not really a talker. I'm not very good at talking, but I try my best, right? With all the support here, I'm all pumped up. All right. So can we have the next slide? All right. So my journey in art and spirituality is starting with Joanna Heartspace, but long before that, I know I can only do one thing when I was born. Even in kindergarten, I was put on the stage to draw. Not knowing what to do, I just stand there and look for my mom. It was the worst thing in my life. I hate to be in front of audience, okay? But anyway, I can't do much. I can't study very well, but my art has always been in my life from very young age. At the end of the day, even though I was from a science class, God has a way to put me into an art. You know, science, then suddenly, I told my mom I want to learn art. She said, I don't know where to find an art teacher for you. So I said, okay. Then I was from St. Nicholas. So in CHIJ, for that particular year, I was in secondary 3. The teacher says, oh, can you bring in any 10 students from St. Nicholas and we teach art? Wow, I put my hands up. So I went in and eventually I got my O-level on art. And then from there I studied in graphic design. So I was actually nurtured as a graphic designer. So very conceptualized. So my whole life is somehow, from then onwards, is working for people with my art. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my clients, for whoever pays me. Because in the end of the day, I became freelance after working for a few years only. And then from there, been working normal graphic designer. And then I realized one day, St. Mary's, at that time I started my usual having all my typical work and art. Then in St. Mary's, Art Space was formed. And at that time I'm going through a big crisis in my life. And I thought it was a very interesting place to paint. For the first time, paint for myself. Not for my client, not for whoever wants to pay me. So in that sense, I learned, wow, art is so powerful. But for the first time, I really understand the power of art. It's more than, I know the power of art form and previously is paying me a job. Now, it is so powerful that all your emotion that you have put in, you had it for years, it's all inside, comes out, you know, when you paint, especially when you have a space like art space, then you just express everything. I don't know where it comes from, but it is very good for people who has a lot of burden or baggage for many years, and then suddenly, you paint after this, we have this art therapist here, it's wonderful, she'll tell me things like, I mean, this line represents this is not, isn't that true? That's true, you know, that's my life. So in that sense, it brings out something very subconscious in my head, and when I paint. So these are the first few things I do when it comes to expressing myself. So a little bit of my struggle, my prayer life, you know, or what I want to fill up my cup or something like that. So after Art Space, of course, Angelico Art Award came about. No. Another thing is, I realized after that, like now, if I go to an art retreat, a retreat for myself, so to be a bit closer to God, my language is still art. I would rather paint, but I don't paint so much from what I feel, but things around me and what is surrounding, a picture that I see, a butterfly, things like that. And I find this is a very interesting language, a prayer through art. I find it is another way of praying. And I actually love it, because I think I'm very comfortable with art. So let's move on to Angelico. Of course, we have all the 3 years of the 2016, 2018, 2020, because I know Joanna. Yay, I want to go. I want to express myself. So let's go and do it, right? So let's see what the first year I came up with. So this is one of the paintings. Because that year, it's about who do you think I am? So that is a big question, right? When you have a blank canvas, it's the most scary thing is to have a blank canvas. And because I'm trained in thinking concept. So I had to really think, But this one came about, this painting, where I'm struggling. I'm struggling, so at that time, it sort of fill in the space. Who do you think I am? God is, to me, He is more than anything. His grace is enough for me. So in this picture, when I'm painting, I started off the left side, which I'm struggling. Very down to earth. You can see the orange is all earthy color. Then there was a big black line that goes across this. I'm struggling, don't know what to do. So I tend to pick up this dark color. So I don't know. This is very interesting. It's a little bit between the both of you. I don't know how my journey goes. It's actually a mystery in the end of the day. I just pick up, I feel, then maybe this, then oh, okay, next one. So it is something like mysterious as I move on. So after that, I feel maybe the right side is more about how do I go and free myself to more heavenly stuff. So if you really notice all my painting, I have three things, which is the Trinity. If you go back to all the front, there's always Eucharist, which represent our Lord Jesus. There's always the universe, which is about God our Father. If you really notice, and then you have the Holy Spirit somewhere. So if you look through most of my painting, I will have the three elements, most of them. So in this painting, which is Grace is Enough for Me, I think that's the name of the painting, yes. It's again, I'm trying to move into another zone. Okay, let's move on. So I saw submitted two. Again, who do you think? Now the second one is much bigger. I was thinking, okay, let's look at the team. Who do you think I am? So I'm thinking, who are you to me? Jesus to me is really a servant king. Servant king because he's always there, like a laborer. He's not the king that sits on the throne. He's the king that serves us. So to me, he is, like he's washing the feet of his disciple. He has no clothes on. He just put on, and then he's starting this work. This is where I think we are like, because he's the mold, he molds us. So we are like silver ore, but it's nothing black and ugly. But he will look and put fire on the ore to make this ore into a silver. And he'll watch all the time, non-stop. Never close his eyes. Once the ore becomes silver, he'll stop the fire. And there I feel that he will be so happy to see us glow. So from raw ore to a precious gem, that is what I think our Lord is always looking, always laborious in looking after us. So that's my servant king. So I named this painting my servant king. So that's the year that I painted. For 2018, prepare the way for the Lord. This is the year that I met you when I'm framing this picture. This year, I'm very busy. So I know for 1 year, this title, Prepare the Way for the Lord. So I'm the one who really, when I paint, I like to have a concept. I need to think. And actually, the concept is the hardest. So night and day I pray or whatever, when it will come, when will it come? I wouldn't know this concept. Then 3 weeks before the submission, I met Geraldine in church, remember? Then she was in St. Ignatius when Our Lady is there. I said, are you submitting? Because she won the year before, right? So, are you submitting? She said, no. I said, wow, I get 1 week, no, I still don't have anything, but I think I see you encourage me. I will paint. So I have only 1 week to do this. But because I've been 1 whole year, I have been thinking. So I know what I want to present. In my mind, I want to have our Lord, because it says, prepare a way for the Lord. And how to prepare a way? So I was thinking, our Lord is really, again, Jesus, our Lord, is really like the trapeze artist that sits on this unicycle and blindfolded, and he say, "Come right on me." Do you dare? I don't dare, right? But if I really trust on the Lord, then I would just sit on him and put all my trust in him. So in that sense, I quickly took out charcoal because it's the fastest medium, and I draw this man like a trapeze, which is to me Jesus Christ, where he's blindfolded, but he's so sure how he's going to move. And this boy, he's full of trust, and he sits on him and laughing on his way, throwing away all his burden, which is from this pot, which I really wanted to be like him, Throw away all this burden, sit on our Lord, and then he goes. And when he goes, can you see the black heart is there? So the charcoal is like, hey, that's a heart, okay. Then as I go, oh, sorry, can you move on? Oh, yeah, never mind. I did a sketch like this, if you really notice. Then I do the charcoal very quickly because I got 3 days left to do. So as I paint, then I said, oh, there's maybe some building there. What is the building? If I'm in a, fun, our world is like fun. It's Thames, like Thames to have fun, color. So you go into this house which ice cream like children, no? Then all this temptation is in there. But you have to find your way out of this temptation in my head. Then you come into this box, another one. If you really go through the whole picture again, can you reverse back to the... Then you have light, and you have the 12 stars, which is Mother Mary. She's protecting us. Come here. This way lead you to heaven. So this is really more conceptual than anything else. So in this sense, I'm very happy I came out and 12 o'clock midnight before the closing. Wow, quickly send, so I made it. So to my surprise, I didn't know that people love it. I thought nobody will like it. Better frame it up nicely or else nobody want to see. So there you are, that's number 2. So at no time, it's only one picture. So in 2020, after 2 years of second time, I said, okay, let's do the third time. Let's just have some fun. So this piece, again, that year is, I will recall all your wonders. What a lovely theme. Wonders. Wonder must be miracle, right? Wonders must be something. Again, as a designer, I'm thinking of concept already. So I was thinking, the sea. A lot of things happen in the sea when Jesus' time in the Bible. Stormy sea, where you have Peter, of course, in the middle, walking in water, but he didn't trust. Because he didn't trust, he fall in, but Jesus held him up. Then we have the other one. Let me try to remember. Oh, this one is then all the disciples went out. If you can see, Jesus is in the middle. I don't have a pointer. He's sitting in the stair, right? The Bible story. He's just sitting there and then he went to sleep. But all the disciples got very frightened. They say, don't you care? About us, we're going to die. It's the wind and the storm in Galilee, the lake, Of course, in the end, the last one is where Jesus came out and calmed the storm. Wow. This is really his wonder, isn't it? He calmed the storm. Not only our heart, but the storm. So with that, I want to portray. But again, I like nature. I used to dive. I used to swim. I love the sea. So with all this, of course, in Galilee, there's no well, all these fishes that is in the sea. But never mind, I just put it in. So there you are. peace and be still. Don't you care? Lord, save me. So this tree represent, again, trust. Trust our Lord. Okay, let's see. Next one. Oh, so how do I start with this? Again, I have a concept, but I like mystery. I like to journey in my art. My journey in my art means I don't know what I'm going to draw. In the end of the day, what will it come out? I have no idea, but I know the theme. So I went to do you know, any of you know, what do you call it? Dirty pouring, the art. Yeah, that's what I do. Then it came out these 4 shapes, 4 pieces. Actually, I wanted 2. Then later on, I can turn it around and around. Oh, can make into a picture in the middle, white picture. Maybe I should come out something with that. Or maybe 2 whites this way. So I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just turning, and then looking at my canvas as an artist, you just look, and then you turn it around. Look. Then suddenly it dawned on me, hey, I can put wave. Hey, it looks like a dolphin. Oh, it looks like something. And then from there, I start to paint and make it more obvious. So in the end, it's just 3 pieces together. So that's my inspiration. So then for this one, actually this is the main one. I have, I always take 1 year to think of the concept. Every night when I sleep, I say, oh God, help me. I'll pray. What do you think you want? What message? What should I do? For in the end of the day, when you do art or you paint, one thing is very important, I think all of us know. You have to be very authentic, who you are. You can only paint who you are. You cannot paint like Joanna or I want to paint like you. We will truly be ourselves. And if we are authentic to ourselves, our painting will show it too. So it's not fake, So this, because I am a mother of 2, my son is a teenager. He's still a teenager now. But it is very difficult as a teenager boy in my life at that time. So I pray for him a lot. I'm very worried for him. So this year, I'm thinking, I will recall your wonders. Again, wonders, I know, it's miracle. So I'm thinking of miracle. And I'm thinking, how I wish my son would just take that step and say yes. Then we had this heart space, right? We got together and we talked, zooming, and then somehow this water scene of this Jesus holding a hand from below. I wanted that. I want my son to raise up his hand. He just no need to do anything, just raise up his hand, put his foot up, and Jesus will just hold and pull him up. You cannot let Jesus, you just let me, save me. You must do something, even whatever it is. So in that sense, I'm praying for this, and I'm praying in this painting that while my son won't do anything, just put his hand, have faith, and let Jesus hold him and pull him up from above. So he is drowning. I think he's drowning in his life at the moment as a 16-year-old, 15-year-old boy. So this picture came about because of that he's drowning. All he needs to do is put his feet up on the level, because we're talking a miracle. All you need is to trust. Once you trust, our Lord will just pull you and everything. No, I don't know whether everything will be fine, exactly what you want, but I know He will be there. He's waiting for you. Just lift your hands up, It's not that He's not there. And again, when I paint the rest, using the same technique, dirty pouring at the side. Yeah, always came out the concept, yes. Concept. So I want the shark there in the beginning when I first sketched it out like this. And then I painted it slowly. So, but as I paint the shark, then I realized, oh, why not the whale? Mother whale, baby, and baby whale. Mother whale, baby whale is about, oh, can I have the write-up? cannot remember. Oh, no, this is not the full write-up. Anyway, it's about humanity, you know. And then I want to have the batfish because I used to dive. I love the batfish. Batfish, if you are a juvenile batfish, you have more stripes. The batfish, when you go older, is very boring. It's just gray. So this has stripes. They're all juvenile. So I'm thinking, how many of them are? If I can recall. Actually, I can't recall. But, oh, sorry. It's about the seventh Holy Spirit. It's about the card, you know. A lot of things has meaning to it. I just cannot recall. Let me go back to the painting. Yes. So the shark, I wanted to be the adversary of Our Lady, which is, Our Lady is the parrotfish on top. Parrotfish, biggest. The 13 yes, 13. 13 of this parrotfish in silhouette means the apostles. Then you have the batfish is the seventh gift of the Holy Spirit. Then the cardinal, I can't remember, gifts as well. So this is my take for this painting. All right, next one. So, okay, so now, who is going for the next one? 2022 painting. I hope this will encourage you to take part of the exhibition. Let's see, what is next? What's the future for this? I'm not going to go take part again. So who will take part? Can we have the next one? So I'm hoping my students will take part for 2022. And these don't have to be young. You don't have to be old either. I'm sure you all can take part. Just express yourself from the heart. It doesn't matter your painting, because I have learned technique. I know my technique. But it's from the heart in the end. Yes? So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kowling. Yes, question.
Hi, Kowling, I'm Janet. I just
Hi,
want to know
Janet.
that when you did the canvas, how many tries? Do you discard any, or just that one and then?
One.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You always do, because this is a journey for me. So as it goes.
All right. So the one that you had the 3 canvases together, the one with the
Yes.
storm, the sea, that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just did 3 from the start to the end.
I just checked 2. Then I said 2 not nice. Maybe 3. Then got another one. Quickly I do another
Okay.
one. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Okay, thank you.
We'll have Demi.
Yeah, later if there's any more questions, we'll. Okay, Demi participated in the 2016, 18, and then she came back on 2020. So, you can participate many times, and Kowling, you can participate again. So, she's the winner of the Youth Award. So, Demi Tang.
Hi, I'm Demi. I'm 21 this year, and I was actually a graduate from NAFA 2021, and I actually got enrolled into JCU, James Cook University, as like a psychological science. So I'm actually pursuing art therapy. Yeah, so I enrolled myself into a psychological science. So yeah. So have you guys ever thought like what is suffering, or is it just like darkness, or is there something beyond what it feels or how it is? So in my studies, in my practice, especially in NAFA, I tend to focus on like the beauty of sufferings, because God does a lot of things when we are like in darkness and all. And it's the grace that was found within our sufferings. And it has actually become like a segment of our life after like Genesis, when Adam and Eve actually betrayed. And the agony behind it was actually like the sufferings was actually childbearing, illness, abortion, and oppression. But what matters is God cares for it. So where do we get our inspiration from? Okay, so one of the biggest sources of like inspiration is actually like God's creation, which is the nature. When we experience like a beautiful scenery, or like we hike up the mountain, we see like the movement of clouds moving, we get the inspiration from there. And another way is through like our testimony experience, or even like the normal things, the mundane things that happen in our life. And God also speaks to us in unlikely places. He also has like the ability to inspire and use our gifts and talents to the best He could bless us with, no matter where we are. And so what's next? I think this. Yeah. So every act of creativity is an intuition response to what we can offer back to God and what He has been giving to us, the abundance of blessings He has been giving us. And we have the ability to download what He's actually talking or prompting us from, and the ability to help us use our creativity to create and to glorify Him. So one thing I learned from my personal experience is to never hesitate whenever it gives like inspirations, because when you don't act it fast, you'll not be able to capture it. It will just like disappear. So what's our act of devotion today to God? So art is a tool. I see it. It helps us to process the limitation and also to sympathize with people around us. So however deeper we feel, we might unconsciously fall into chasm if we constantly look into the sufferings. So what I feel was we should learn to not dive in too deeply into our sufferings, because it might backfire, and we might unintentionally produce like a work that is harmful to our mind. Instead of glorifying God, we might just draw ourselves away from His grace and love. So instead, we should learn the importance to think and experience deeply with God through the journey in art. Okay. So what we should do is what we should do for the lost, or like the people that's facing the darkness, like I mentioned before, to sympathize. So I mentioned that art is like a tool to heal. You don't use language to convey a message, but you simply use colors, objects, composition, or even the brush strokes. You can tell like the expression you want to showcase, like the experience you've gone through. And it helps us to understand and discern which way of art it might helps the process of healing that God wants to work in one's life. So I draw your attention, a bit wordy here. So I draw attention to 1 Corinthians 3:10-11. So by grace God has given me, I've laid foundation as a wise builder, and someone else is building on it, but each one should build with care. For no one can lay any foundation other than one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. So I actually, in my practice, especially the work that I've been doing through, I actually came across this verse. And in order to do what God preferred us to do, we have to learn to build our strong foundation with God, and the most importantly in God, because it works both ways. We can't just do it with God, but not in Him. So while building the foundation, we don't just add in like random things, the earthly desires we have, but it's to add in but with God, He has actually given us Jesus Christ and His grace. So to build a foundation, we have to just be faithful and build it in the manner of Christ-likeness. So what do? We do it according to His will, and it must be aligned with Him, and not like the earthly desires and the materialistic from the earth. So when we recognize ourselves as like the greater art of God, because we are all created by Him, so we begin to create something that from our hands, from that our faith and Holy Spirit tells and guides us, and to speak the language of God. First of all, we need to be willing. God gives us space to think and decide. Even though He always gives us the best, He gives us a choice to choose. And if we are willing to let Him in our heart and life, allowing Him to be the focus point of our life, being the one that takes us through the journey, He'll be able to refine and factor in our intention, limitation, motive, and His compassion and mercy. So He'll also be like the healer of our sufferings. And He has given us specific gifts to fulfill the calling and expectation for us to use them wisely and responsibility for His great purpose. So I understand there's sometimes that we are afraid to use our talents for God, like be it worship or anything. We are afraid that we are not good enough and people might mock us or like make fun of us. But if we're able to step out and let God take charge, I'm sure He'll be able to give us courage and transform it into a blessing for others. So now I'll be talking about my work. You're always here. So linking everything I shared before this slide, we experience like darkness or even face reality of death for some. There are times we do not see God's work and assume that He isn't doing anything. But I would like to share my process of creating this piece. And the main concept comes from my grandfather. So yeah, here's the photo of him. Okay. So he was actually baptized back in 2019. Yeah. So it was the start when the pandemic actually hit Singapore. And he was sent to the hospital when his oxygen level was forced into abnormal rate. Still, doctors couldn't find like the cause behind what he has been suffering from. So he had to undergo many processes of intubation and for several times. So to the extent whereby they actually told us that if one more intubation performed, they might not be able to take it out from him, because due to his very old age. And with nights of like sudden calls from hospital, like 3 a.m. plus, they would just call and say that, oh, he might not be able to make it. But by God's grace, he made it. And upon removing the tube, he was able to speak and eat like almost immediately after it. So I had a conversation with him, and what touches my heart was his unwavering faith in God. And my grandfather cried and said, 耶稣一直与我同在. So it means Jesus is always with me. So he was a pre-believer. So I think he was baptized like half a year when he was sent into the hospital. And he teaches us that we should always look right at him, like the focus should always be him. So still in like the possibility of facing death, he stood firmly in God and with God. That's something that some of us might not be able to do it due to like our innate human nature. So he also reminded us that even as we don't see things happening the way we wishes it to, we wishes God to do, but we need to prepare ourselves to listen and feel His presence. We need to learn that even as our eyes can see, we trust the voice that speaks in our heart, or even the promises that we see in the Bible. So, to wait is a form of art as well, I feel. We must diligently learn to wait for God. Many times we think that He's silent, He isn't doing anything, but His concept of timing is very much different from us. And similarly, just like one of the well-known artists, Makoto Fujimura, has said that there's actually no art if we are unwilling to wait for the paint to dry. So I'm sure we all know that the more we paint on that specific particular area, when it's not dry with like other paints, it will eventually get dirty or it will get torn. So likewise, when God intended like a beautiful piece of work in our life, the colors that I use as a title, good work, in our life, we rush our way through it and we destroy our own faith in Him. And we ruin the beautiful thing that He does in us. So John 14:14 says, if you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. But the key thing is it must be aligned with God and his timing. So together, he will create like a heartwarming piece that is favorable in our eyes and most importantly in his eyes. So no matter the pain and suffering you're going through right now, I hope that you lay it on God's feet. And no problems or sufferings is greater than any other things than him. He has promised to deliver us from our sufferings, our struggles. He may not deliver you off the trial right now, but I'm sure he'll deliver you through it and use you as a living testimony to others. So you may think that your testimony might be minute, but I'm sure you'll be a support for some other people sometime in the future. Yeah, thank you. All glory to him.
Thank you so much. Actually, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there if you to digest. And I'm glad that it's recorded, in case it can be used for somebody's, a message for somebody. What is evident I can see is that God speaks to us very, very personally. In all 4 stories, he looks at us and who we are and speaks our language in the way he, comes to us. All of them have different stories, but similar vein. I think artists are very misunderstood. And the aim, testing, the objective of I think the battery is moving. I think the desire for this competition was not to show off how beautiful I can paint, but the desire was it is a voice, it's a process, it's a journey, and you can see that it has been a journey for people. Whatever it is, we also don't know. Only God knows. And each of them has had a journey. And I also can see that it's not easy to be an artist in Singapore or in this world. You can see that, it's always between art and working. And we're always torn. We need to earn, but we also want to do what we're meant to do. So I really applaud artists who, paint for the love of it. Actually, honestly, I can paint, but I haven't painted in such a long time. And it's because I'm so distracted at work. I don't have a space in my... But it's really a gift. And if you have it, maybe we should give some time and space for us to, use it. Because it's a gift. And it can be a prayer, like Kowling says. So I'd like to invite the artists again to come up and maybe ask questions that maybe people might be wondering. Maybe I would start out. One question is, if there is a young person who is struggling, like I want to be an artist, but my mother says cannot earn money, and I don't know what to do, where to start. Maybe one advice you can give, I don't know. Encouragement, word of, I don't know, Would that, yeah? We can pass the mic also.
So whether a person who has the talent and whether art will bring money, that means you will make it as a career. I do think so. If you go for the commercial side, for sure, there will be, like, go for agencies, or even you draw a mural on the wall, they will pay you. But it's a hard life. Hard life because, as far as I know, all artists that is really true artists, they do it for passion more than money. Money comes is good. I mean, it's good. But it's very interesting because my family are very different. They're all lawyers, doctors, and engineers. So I'm the only artist in my family, which everybody think, oh gosh, my father was so frightened that I would not make a living. But somehow, I know God is meant for me. This path is really clear since I was kindergarten. So whatever I try to move out, it'll come back. God will pull me back, you know. And I've been freelancing since 1988, and I'm thinking, will I feed my family? Yes, I can feed my family. Not because I'm talented, not because I'm hardworking, because the Lord will always provide. So if you go for your passion, you might not be, like now I teach more than I do commercial work. Because I'm coming to my winter season. True, it's true. So I think it's a good time to impart what God had given to me. You know, this time I like to impart it now rather than, you know, just to earn money. If I can, of course, I love it. But if you say somehow God will give you a path, simple, you know, simple, maybe just, I know this. I'm doing this mural design, and the client asked me to paint. I said, I'm coming to 60 years. Are you joking? You know, two levels of, you know, like a 2-level, 3-level floor. He asked me to paint outdoor. Then I was quite upset with my friend, because a friend asked me to paint. I said, no. I said, oh, bring your son, daughter, and paint. So easy, man. I think. So what happened is, I say, can you find somebody to paint? So she found somebody. And then I go meet up with this painter, whoever he is. I have no idea. When he came, I call him, I'm here already. And he says, I'm here. He sits next to me. I have no idea. It was a 70-year-old man. I'm not joking. And he is full of spirit to paint. He's still painting now. I mean, it's not finished, the mural. But I'm so impressed with his passion. And he sprained his leg, then 2 weeks he didn't paint. No, I feel so bad for him. But 70-year-old, of course he's not Chinese, he's Canadian. So they have the spirit. So it doesn't matter. I mean, he sprained his leg, he still will paint. So that I feel, yes, somehow it will work.
Thank you. Maybe we should do 1 meter apart, I think. I don't know. Okay. Just a word, simple advice, maybe.
Okay, I mean, like, maybe picking out from Kowling, however, if you look at many of the great artists, they practice until they were 80, 90 years old before they contour. They actually, art is something you can do well until you die, and you can live a very long, full life. So it's not an age thing. I think if it calls to you, you can be at any age. Okay, so having said that, I think Kowling now knows she's actually very young. Don't make excuses. I will share that my model is that I am an example of a typical Singaporean. I have to live in what is now officially the most expensive city in Asia. I have to feed myself, pay my bills. Okay, so this is the reality. And I choose to keep my day job so that I can be very free in my art. So that's what I have chosen to do. Even though I'm very serious about the art, I even have my own studio space, and I work at it all the time, and I take correspondence classes, all kinds of classes all the time. So I am really very serious about it. But I think a priest has once said to me, I mean, whatever it is you want to do in life, I mean, you discern, but you have to be practical. So I rather not be a struggling artist and every day cannot sleep because I cannot, support myself. I mean, I've talked to people along the way to get advice, and then artists more senior than me told me, it's not romantic at all. If you have no money in the bank and you cannot do a lot of things. So at the end of the day, whatever is right for each one of us, right, it's a personal decision. I just want to share that I'm an example of an artist. I consider myself to be an active practicing artist. I do what I can in the time that I can, but I choose to keep my day job so that I can be free in my art.
Yeah, thanks, Geraldine. I have a different perspective. For me, art consumes you. So if you don't give it all, right, if you're just half, like you still keep on to your day job, right, you're considered in the biblical terms lukewarm, right? So God will spit you out from his mouth. So it's the same thing as with art. 10 more minutes. Yeah. Somehow you still have to, but practically you can't live on just pigment and turpentine. You can't. You still need to do something which supports you, lah. But I think all of us are just trying to move more towards practicing more, right? I'm sure Geraldine, even if given a choice, you want to, if your art could feed you, I'm sure you want to, right, give up your day job, right, and then become Batman forever, right, and not be Bruce Wayne, have the two life thing. Yeah. So advice given to a young person struggling, I would say don't take art unless you have a very high threshold of pain, right? And you want the path of suffering. Yeah. But suffering, like what Demi's sharing was, right, it's actually good for you because God is in that suffering, right? And we believe in Christ who suffered and died. It's not for nothing. It's not a metaphor, right? We are living everybody has their own suffering, and the suffering is Christ. Right? Christ is suffering, therefore suffering is Christ, right? If we embrace it that way. So it's not romantic like Geraldine says. Yeah.
It's really a leap of faith.
Correct. It's a leap of faith. Yeah.
And it's mystery also, because we don't know what's going to happen. No guarantees. Faith. Yes, Demi. Demi is herself a young person.
Oh, hi. I think what my lecturers from NAFA told us is we wear many hats. So you don't have to just be artist by yourself. You can actually be like a lecturer, or even like a photographer, or mural artist. Yeah. So I think being artist, you have to have the heart to open up, because in an art school they criticize a lot. Like they just put you down there and they start going in saying like your work is not good and all. You have to take them in, and everything goes back to like improvement. So I couldn't do that on my first semester in NAFA, and I fall into like depression. Like I couldn't eat and all. So yeah, but thank God I managed to pull through. So I'm an art educator myself as well, like a part-time one. So I teach like kids to adults. So I think art, it doesn't matter like in age. Like you can do art in any stages of life. Yeah. So I think you can just strive for it.
Yeah, I mean, I asked that question. I know this is a church faith talk. But I asked that question is because it's very realistic, lah. Where, I don't want to shirk away from the reality of, I think that is quite a realistic question. Any other questions do we have? I would like to get feedback, a verbal feedback from everyone, just one word or one line. Okay, I'm going to pass this mic around. Okay, quite quickly, just don't have to think so much, just one word or one line. Maybe I start from you.
Okay, I think it's very, very enlightening for me, that one word.
It was very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think they are very courageous. Yeah.
Truly inspiring.
Yeah, same for me, inspiring.
Yeah, creative.
What do you think of the talks?
You want to say something? I find them very inspiring.
Yeah, same.
Inspiring.
I'm sorry, I'll take a sentence. I could see that everyone's personal story and faith is being translated into their visual art. It's beautiful and very heart-touching, very inspiring to see everyone's different area and genre. Thank you so much.
My one word is resonance. Yeah. Yeah, because I gave her my job. I'm studying my master's in fine arts now. So go for it if you want to do it. You never know if you don't try.
Congratulations. Welcome to the path of pain.
Very inspiring, yeah.
I see their personal journey with God, yeah, and it's very evident in the paintings that they made.
Nice.
I really enjoyed the talk and to listen and learn about all your personal journey. Very different, yeah, and it's interesting to me because I'm also an art educator myself, yeah, and in a way, I haven't really had time to create my own art. It's always teaching art. So you've inspired me to set aside time for me to create. Thanks.
So can we thank our 4 speakers? Oh. Thank you so much, Kowling, Geraldine, Joshua, and Demi.